Hello, everyone. Good day. I wanted to take a moment to thank you all for attending the special guest, Kay, who shared her world traveling adventures with us. We're going to join her in the video now, where she is talking about going on to Trinidad, which is her first stop with her daughter. Before this, she just discusses the changes due to COVID. This was at the beginning of COVID in March of 2020. The video is about 2.5 hours long. For those of you who missed the entire video, I urge you and encourage you to watch the whole video. It is quite interesting. There are golden nuggets of opportunity to explore different destinations through her eyes. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time with Kay. We will be having another video with her coming up soon. She did ask for it to be private and only available to membership platforms. I wish she would open it up for the public because it's just an enhancing experience to have, like I said, through her eyes, through her adventures, through her explorations. I want to thank Kay for sharing her experiences with us candidly, giving us the scoop, the inside kind of dwellings of her living, not just visiting, but living in these different places in the world. So we join Kay as she talks about her daughter and her starting her adventure in Trinidad. So buckle your seats if you haven't. For those who joined us that night, thank you so much for being there. If you missed the end, please forward this video to the end. It was quite interesting, and there was a short Q&A at the end. So I hope you find it entertaining. Again, thank you all for attending. And here's Kay.
23. She had this. She had decided to travel with her best friend to Trinidad, and this is like in March of 2020. And at the airport, she's calling me at JFK and she's like, Mommy, they're saying that they want pictures of us. And if they can't get pictures of us, then we need to go see the person in charge because, they're not giving reasons. They just want a picture, a photo of each passenger. And I'm thinking something isn't right. And then she's also telling me that she's hearing of, um, the airport being shut down. I'm like, I have lived near JFK for most of my life. I have never heard of JFK ever being shut down. Something is definitely about to happen, something huge. So she was able to get on her flight. As soon as she arrived in Trinidad, they shut the country down. And I'm like, oh man, is she gonna have to stay there? How long is she gonna be there for?
Right.
So um, she was there for about a week. And at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I want to leave the States now, definitely. Because I wasn't working, nothing was, everything that I was trying to do, I just kept hitting roadblock after roadblock. So I said, you know, I think that I want to leave. And plus, something is brewing and I don't want to be here for it. So when my daughter came back, I just said, look, I gave her my card. I said, wherever is open, because at this time we were talking about going to Panama, but Panama had just closed and that was it. So I gave her my card. I said, look, book wherever is open. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines was open, was one of the very few countries that was open at the time. We booked for 1 month to stay there for 1 month. Um, and I went with my daughter and my two younger children. I have 5 children. I just went with my 3 children. to St. Vincent. And when we got there, it was it was a totally different place because it's not like Panama. By the way, I am, my family is from Panama, and I have family also in Jamaica and other places as well. It's not quite like Panama, and it's very, the living there is very basic, if you will, very basic. Um, so going there, and not to mention, my daughter booked not only the flights, but she booked the Airbnb. We were all the way out in the country, all the way out in the country. And in St. Vincent, now this is just when COVID, the whole pandemic is starting and everything. So no one is wearing masks in the airport. No one is wearing masks around town, right? And I think I saw maybe one person when we first got there. One person had a mask on. He looked afraid and what have you. When to, we took a flight from New Jersey to Miami. That flight, there was 11 of us on the airplane. From Miami to St. Vincent, the plane was full. The plane was filled to capacity. Um, the person next to me was sick. There were reports that there was someone who came in the same day that we did that was sick, and she just so happened to be in the next town. At first, they thought it was us, and the host and the people that were helping her out with us had to reassure them that no, it wasn't us. It was someone who was from St. Vincent that had COVID. What they did was, the Cuban doctors had come and um, seen them because they don't have high tech machines and hospitals and all of that. So the Cuban doctors came and to each person, and at that time, I think maybe 10 people had, no, it was it was about 30 people on the island who had COVID. All of them recovered. None of them died. What did the Cuban doctors do? They told them, go outside in the sun, sit in the sun, and work in your garden. Okay, but sit outside in the sun. Very different than what was going on in the United States, from what I understand, because I didn't experience what was going on in the United States. I experienced what was going on in each country that we were in. Um, Pretty much the only other thing we had to go through there was, we had to wash hands every time we went into a store. The only places that wanted a mask were the American places, FedEx, places like that. Life over there, it was very calm. It was very serene, very peaceful. The people were nice. The food was very fresh. There was spring water coming out of the tap. So you can drink the water. I mean, and we were drinking gallons of it every day. Um, I had some issues that I was going through personally, that I wanted to address. Uh, so my daughter had um, arranged for us to go to an herbalist. We went there often. She gave us detoxes, um, medicinal detoxes, different detoxes. And I had lost a lot of weight. I had everything that was wrong left, everything that I was going through, all the, whatever, if it was pain, if it was just pretty much everything. pretty much everything went away, and I had lost a lot of weight. My health was on point. We The day that we arrived in St. Vincent, no, the day after, we got a phone call from the um well, let's backtrack a little bit. Once we hit the airport, there was an extremely long line for uh the people there to take our vitals, take our temperature, ask us some questions, and then we were free to leave. And they said, okay, 14 days quarantine, that's it. So we were all the way out in the country, and everything was good. Really, life there, it was just nice. It was basic, very basic. We were right near we stayed right near the volcano. There's a volcano in St. Vincent. And I don't know if you guys heard, because again, at the time of of the incident, the um the incident with the volcano, actually, there was an eruption that happened a month after we left. We ended up The day after we got there, we got a phone call from the airport from American Airlines saying, all flights are canceled. St. Vincent always kept their borders open, but there were no flights coming in and out. The flights were had stopped. So they said, try us back. We were supposed to leave. We got there March 26th. We were supposed to leave March 25th. We were supposed to leave April 26th. Didn't happen. Um, we ended up staying. They said, try us back in May. And I'm like, May? I got a whole life. May? What? Okay, May. So May comes, we call them. They're like, try us back in July. I'm like, July? Wow. Okay. So by this time, we had already left the Airbnb and left the countryside and moved to the city. Got an apartment in the city area. Well, it's not really a city, but it's what they would call a city. St. Vincent is a very small country. It has one road that literally wraps around the entire island. You can do that in a day, in less than, in a few hours, and that's it. So we had gotten an apartment, and we prepared ourselves to stay for um, the long haul. We ended up staying until August of that year, August of 2020. When we got to the airport, when we were leaving St. Vincent and we got to the airport, we were met with having to put on masks. That was the very first time we had to put on masks. And that it was kind of like I felt in a way dehumanized, because that was something that, it was very foreign. Um, like I said, there's only one road that wraps around the whole island. So there's one lane coming and one lane going. So they don't have city buses like we are used to. They have vans. And the vans are people are all piled up in the vans. No one is coughing on each other or anything. Everyone is piled up on the vans, you know, even in the aisles where you're walking to, there's someone like, kneeling down right next to you.
Right.
Say that. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Nothing, laughing.
So, I mean, I took pictures and everything of it. But yeah, it was really an experience. It was a real experience, and it kind of reminded me of the things that I did as a child of the 70s. You know, you're doing your laundry, you're hanging it on the line, you're smelling that nice fresh smell, and you know, just basic over there. What was new for me was there were cows and goats and chickens roaming around the streets and whatnot. And, you know, so it prepared me for what was to come. Now, to backtrack a little bit, my son had called me on the phone and said, "Oh, your professional license came." It came the day after we arrived in St. Vincent, the day after. So that was the Most High saying, "Look, whatever is about to happen, you're not going to be a part of it. I'm removing you from that." And I truly believe that that's what happened. When we left St. Vincent, we got back to the States. We stayed in the States for 5 weeks. During those 5 weeks, I had gotten sick from the food. The food immediately had me out. I mean, it got to the point where the last few days of us being there, I just stopped eating altogether. And we were just eating fish and vegetables. It wasn't like I was having burgers and fries and all it. No, fish and vegetables. And I was getting sick off of that. And I was eating fish, and that's what I was eating in St. Vincent. So go figure. Um, so within those 5 weeks, I had gotten what I had made the decision that we were going to go to Africa. Um, I started packing up my stuff and, you know, buying things what I thought that we would need, because one thing about traveling or moving to another place, there are things that you do need. Okay. When people make videos on YouTube about, "Oh, well, you don't really, you know, just bring one suitcase." No, you cannot just bring one suitcase. You cannot bring one suitcase. I'm sorry. You cannot, because the quality of things that you would get, for example, can opener, uh, a hand crank can opener. I had I didn't have one in the apartment. My apartment was a furnished apartment in St. Vincent. There was no can opener in there. So I went to the store on a hunt for one. It was hard to find one. When I finally did find one, I took it home. I began using it, and immediately it fell apart in my hands. Okay? That's the type of quality you're going to get. And those things are all imported. You're not going to find things readily available in said country. So your best bet is to bring the things that you absolutely love and need. Okay. So that's what I was doing. I was preparing myself because I knew what my experience was like in St. Vincent. Everything is very basic. Um, Very basic. And when I say very basic, I mean to the point of there wasn't really anything to do there besides maybe go to the beach, and the beaches weren't that clean. Aside maybe um, going to town, and my observation was in the towns, the locals, the St. Vince, the St. Vincentians, Vince, I can't even say the Vincies, as they call themselves.
I love it.
They were
He
not,
got you.
they were the ones selling on the street. The ones who had the actual brick and mortar stores were the Lebanese and the Chinese. And that seems to be a pattern even throughout Africa. And you know, so it's a disheartening thing, but it's reality. It is what it is. So during my 5 weeks in the States, we were preparing and whatnot. I had been watching a woman who was in Tanzania, and she was making videos every day about her experiences. And then, you know, we started talking on the phone. I started reaching out to different people in different parts of Africa, some people in the Gambia. Thank God that did not pan out. A lot of roadblocks there, and for good reason. Um, but she reached out in one person in the Gambia reached out, but he kind of reached out after I got to Africa. Um, the woman that I reached out to in Tanzania, you know, we spoke every day, everything was good, vibes were good, whatnot. But you know, and I had brought a box of things I had taken with me to Tanzania for the four of us, 18 luggages plus her box, plus a box of things that she had requested. Um, on our way to Tanzania, we stopped in Qatar. We spent the day in Qatar. Beautiful place. Um, going at JFK, first of all, at JFK, I had missed our flight because they Qatar Airways has this thing where they say, okay, you know, they do military time. I was not aware of that. I thought, okay, 1 o'clock was 1 o'clock and that was it. No, 1 o'clock was 1 o'clock, and you know, so oh, I ended up missing my flight. We we drove all the way from New Jersey to JFK. Ended up sleeping well, not sleeping. I stayed up all night long in the cold airport until the next morning. Called Qatar Airways, and the only thing they said to me regarding the COVID test was, "Did you take the necessary precautions for, you know, to for the flight?" And I said, "Yes." That was it. No one had asked me any other questions, nothing. When it was time to board the plane, one the person who checked my passport, she didn't give me back my passport. She checked all four of our passports. She didn't give me back my passport. And I didn't realize that until I got on the plane. And I'm telling them, oh my God, I don't have my passport. What am I going to do? And they're like, you know, if you don't have it, then you're not going to be able to get off the plane. You're not going to be able to get on the, you know, stay on the flight. You're going to have to get off. So, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I paid all of this money to get on the flight. No way. Um, so we're looking, and the person who had checked my passport and took my passport, she was just moving kind of funny and just being very nasty, and you know, oh, you know, and like talking to my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter, and she's like, oh, well, you know, looking through her bag, and she's like, oh, she's just got like, you know, doll stuff in here. And I'm like, she's 8. Yes, of course. So we take our bags in the back, in the flight attendant area, and me and two other flight attendants are looking in my bag. One is looking in another bag that I had, that same one, that same person. And she's like, here it is, it's right here. And I'm like, mm-hmm, okay, thank you. So I see the the spiritual attacks that are happening. Other things have happened, but that was like the final thing that happened before we actually left the States. So we get to Qatar. Qatar was a dream. It was a wonderful place, wonderful place. But while we were on the plane, we had to have a mask on and we had to have a shield on. The only time we were able to take off the mask was when we were eating. That was it. That was the flight from New York to Qatar. When we were leaving Qatar and we flew from Qatar to Dar es Salaam, the those regulations were very relaxed. People took off their shields. Some non-melanated people took off their masks, and you know nothing was said. When we got to Dar es Salaam, they told us off. Oh, you can take your mask off now. You can take it off. You don't need it. So we took off the mask. Okay, mind you, this is September 2020. We took off our mask, and that was it. That was it. There was nothing. It was like COVID didn't even exist, except to the people who came after us. Um, we the first week we stayed in a hotel, a boutique hotel. The second week we went to an Airbnb and we stayed a month there, which was like more in town, near the major mall that they have there. It was a beautiful Airbnb. I got to meet people immediately. Actually, I had met someone who was also in touch with the woman at the airport. I met her and her daughter at the airport, and we were staying at the same place. So it worked out. And then more people came as the week progressed, who were also in contact with the woman and or knew about the woman. And we all came there and we all connected. And to this day, there are two people. Well, the person that I met at the airport, we're still in contact. We're close, actually. And another person, a guy that came from the UK, we are also, all three of us are very close to this day, and we are still in contact almost on a daily basis, pretty much. Um, so after a month in the Airbnb, we were looking around, looking around, looking around, and I finally found a house. One thing about Tanzania, and one thing that I have noticed about other countries, but one thing about Tanzania is that renting houses are a lot cheaper than renting an apartment, because there were people already there and they were like, oh yeah, we got an apartment for $700. And I'm like, $700 a month? What? $700? And you're sharing the apartment. Wow. Meanwhile, I had found a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, brand new house for $380 a month. $380 a month, as opposed to, and yes, granted, I was a little bit further out, but you know what? That's what I wanted. I wanted to be further out. I really did not want to be where everything was happening. I wanted to be further out. And we had a yard, and it was a nice place. It was a very nice home. Uh what can I say about Tanzania? Tanzania is, it has its beautiful places. It has its beautiful points. Again, with Tanzania, the beaches are not that clean. A lot of the within our group, the expat group that was there at the time, um, they kept organizing teams to clean beaches like every weekend, basically, because the beaches were filthy. Um, the locals, The locals, some of them are nice, some of them are nice. But you are basically a walking ATM there. And that is the truth. You are a basic, when they know that you're coming from the States, you automatically make $1 million. You have $1 million, even though you may have come with $2,000, you have $1 million in their mind. Well, $500, 500 of their dollars, I mean, of US dollars, is equivalent to 1 million of their dollars. So you're already rich. And the largest bill, the largest bill that they have is 10,000 T shilling. And 10,000 T shilling is equivalent to maybe $4, something like that. So, you know, if you're if you're trying to have at least $50 equivalent in T shilling, then you're going to have a stack of money. You're always going to be peeling off, and they're watching. um I've heard of people getting their phones taken. That is one thing. However, and I will talk to you about an experience we had with that. um One thing that I did that I really enjoyed seeing was the vendors on the streets. They were so they sold everything. They sold knives, they sold bed sheets, they sold whiteboards. I mean, you name it, they had it. And if you just sat in traffic long enough, you would get to see what everyone had. And I loved it. I thought it was so amusing. Even you would see furniture, and the furniture that they have there was so well made. So well made. So, I mean, I loved their furniture. The furniture that we had at the Airbnb, the table and chairs, I would just like look at it in awe, because it was just so, you don't see well-made furniture like that anymore in the United States. So, that was one thing that I really enjoyed. Just simple things like that. Another thing that I loved was I would see, like, in front of my house, I would see like a whole herd of cows being taken uh to I guess get water, and taken to pasture or whatever. So the Maasai would come, and every morning you take a herd of cows down the street to across the road to get water. It was just the coolest thing. Like, things like that I enjoyed seeing. And if I was in the city, if I was renting an apartment, those are the things that you will never see. Even people who came to visit me, the few people who came to visit me, they were like, man, if they were like, I never saw that in the city. This is so cool. If I saw this first, I would have stayed out here. I'm like, well, but now, getting back to the phone situation, my daughter had been invited to go to a wedding, and at the reception, she had her phone in her bag. And again, people are watching, right? People are always watching. So you just have to be mindful. And especially if you have an iPhone and you're in a country in East Africa, that is like gold. So her phone was taken. And when she noticed it, when she realized that her phone was taken, it was like, she was devastated. And all of the people around her were like, oh, well, you'll never get it back or whatever. And she was like, wow, they didn't even help me or anything. She was devastated. The next day, she had gone to the police station with some of the locals, because I told her, I mean, it wouldn't make sense for me to go. It would make more sense for someone who knew the environment, who knew how things were, to go with her. When she got there to make the complaint, um, one of the police officers decided that he would pull out a machine gun and point it at her. He wanted money so that he could help her to retrieve her her phone, which no one ever did. She never got the phone. The phone was on, the iPhone is has do what is that? Find My Phone, right? Um, and there was a location, and she's like, "See, look, the location is here. Look." But they didn't move. They did not move. They did not budge. They wanted money. They wanted to be paid. So she never got her phone back. After back and forth, and a whole lot of harassment. Not only did it happen to her, but it happened to someone that I met, her daughter. She went through the same thing. Um, a lot of people I've met, everyone that I have met there ha, has a story to tell. Some, I can't even say if it's more devastating than others. Um, One of my friends, who I am in touch with now, who helped me to get my house and what have you, she was there with her husband, and um, they had started a farm. They had started a farm there, a chicken farm. And to make a long story short, um, their chickens were stolen. Their chickens were stolen. Their supplies were stolen. The feed was everything was stolen. They just walked away. They just walked away. Now they moved. They left Tanzania, and now they are
No
in
way.
another country.
They stealing chickens in Tanzania?
They stole the chickens so
I'm
that they
done.
can sell them,
Okay,
so
I'm
that they
sorry.
can make a profit.
I'm done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another um family that, we became each other's family, if you will. It was a guy and his family. Um, they came with a substantial amount of money. I'll just say that they came with a substantial amount of money. Okay. Um, I guess it's safe to say over $1 million. They came with that. They were
Wow.
extorted.
I was about to say, how much did they leave with? If they came with 1 million, how much they
Well,
leave with?
they left with a lot less. They left with a lot less because they were extorted. They People that came in to work for them to fix their AC, put up their AC unit, saw money on their table, took the whole stack of money off the table, took the whole stack. And that was just one of the two of the many things that happened. They ended up leaving. Uh, we left in March of 2021. They ended up leaving. I mean, they called me. I was already in Guadalajara, and they're calling me, "Where are you?" Because I'm like, "Look, I'm in Mexico. I left Tanzania. I'm not there anymore." Um, so yeah, so a lot of things happen. I mean, of course, you go through you for me, it was my landlord was supposed to my house was a brand new house. There were things that he said that he was going to do. He ended up not doing it. Then there was not only my back and forth with him, and I did not give him all of the money. Okay, I did not give him every bit of money. A I gave him a portion of it. I made maybe about three-quarters of it. I did not. I was like, I'm not going to give you everything because you said you were going to fix everything. I expect to see it fixed. The day after we moved in, well, the day that we moved in, people were in there working, whatever. The day after that, the workers reduced drastically. By the second day, no workers at all. Maybe one or two trickled in. That was it. and there was more to be done. There was still a lot to be done. So I said, okay, all right. And he's like, oh, don't worry, we'll get it. He brought beds over, he took us out to lunch, blah, blah, blah. Never got it done. A month later, I didn't have a kitchen at the time. A month later, I had to take him to court. Now, court there, basically what you have to do is you have to go to like the local chief, like, you know, who's in charge of that area, and let them know what your discrepancies are. And they are like, okay, well, we'll hear what he has to say. They write us both a letter, give it to us, and we both have to show up in court at the local courthouse. And, it's not a courthouse that you are used to. I mean, it's a really shabby building, which looks like when it rains, it floods maybe 3, 4 feet of water in it, and it smells it. And, there's old paper everywhere and stuff like that. So we get there, and the guy that I said, that was like my family, he was there with me. One and a guy that I had met, a young guy, um, that became my one of my drivers, and very helpful. He's like my son, and we're still in touch also. And he helped me out. He translated and whatnot. They were there with me, and basically what they said was, you either put in that kitchen, or you and the person that you um hired to put in the kitchen will both be fined. So the next day the kitchen was put in. So that worked out fine and whatnot, but still there were other things around. I mean, they put in an AC unit, but they didn't hook it up to anything. It was there, but it wasn't hooked up. So I'm thinking, okay, I have on the AC is there. I put it on, it's blowing hot air. I'm like, oh man, come to find out it's not hooked up to anything. So it was just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. The water heater is leaking. It's leaking through the wall into the room. But all kinds of things started happening. Then put that aside. Then there was the problem with immigration. Immigration. Okay, so we get there. We the first time we went there, we
I'm
had
sorry, Kate. What year is this? What year are
this
we in
is
now?
twenty
Still 20,
twenty twenty
still
twenty.
2020. Okay.
2020. So we get to immigration because they were supposed to give us um a 3 month stamp in our passport, right? Because you pay $100 per person. That's what I paid. Um, and you are supposed to renew the visa once a year. But it's like, you go for 3 months, you come back, you go for 3 months, you come back, that sort of thing. You stay for 3 months, I mean, you leave and then you come back. So we first time we went to immigration, they're like, okay, fill out this paper. So we filled out the paper, and they're like, go across the street to make a copy of the paper. They don't even want to use their own copy machine. No, go across the street to pay for them to make a copy of the paper. And then they're like, okay, now you have to write a letter as to why you want to stay here, why you are here. So I guess they're expecting me to say, okay, well, can I have some paper and a pen? No, 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 no. Kate brings everything. I am the queen of preparedness. Okay. So I am going to have everything. So I I went across the street, the people that they're looking you up and down, and okay, that the paper would usually be maybe 1,000 T shilling to take to copy or whatever. They're charging you maybe 3,000 or 5,000 to make one copy. Okay, all right, whatever. Look, I'm just trying to get this done. So we, make the copy. I wrote, the letter real quick. Boom, boom, boom. I give the woman the paper, and she's giving me a hard time. Like, she just doesn't want to, give me. She's not giving me any break whatsoever. Um, One of the people that I went with, the guy that was from the UK, he came with me that time. He had on shorts. They did not let him in. That's another thing. When you walk into a government building, you cannot, there's a certain way that you have to dress. You cannot just walk in jeans and t-shirts, especially as a man. Women, you cannot wear like tank tops and shorts. And no, 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 no. That is not going to work. You have to respect that each country has their different uh, ways. You're not in the States, you're in another country. You're not in Europe, you're in another country. And whatever their rules are, you follow them because you're a guest in their country. You are not a resident, you're not a citizen, you are a guest. So you follow things accordingly. So he was looking around for pants, he couldn't find it. So he just ended up not being able to come inside of not even the gate, actually. It told him to stand outside. So, after So the woman gave me a hard time. So I walk away, I come back. Another woman is at the table, and this woman is very helpful. She's the one who actually gave me the paper to go across the street and all of that. So I did everything. I came back. Now this time when I come back, the other woman that gave me a hard time came back, and she's sitting there. And I gave her everything. She couldn't say anything. So she's like, okay, just wait. So I wait for my passports. I get my passport. I go home. Why? Why? I mean, we've been to immigration 3 times, and I try my best to just stay calm and go with the flow. We had to return again the next month because two out of the four passports had an expiration date of the visa expired. The visa extension expired, like, I think within a month, right? One of the passports had no month, the 15th and of the year. The next one, which was my passport, had um the right, everything was right. March 15th, 2021. My daughter's was zero, my younger daughter, 0/15/2021. My other daughter, my older daughter, and my son, my youngest son, theirs was for the, right, for the next month. So for January, I think it was January. So I'm like, oh boy. Okay, so we go back and we meet one of the the person that was in charge. And okay, and he's like, yeah, I will help you, no problem, or whatever. He gets our passports done. Fine. I come home. Why does my passport now say, well, not my passport, the other two, the 31st of February, the 31st of February. I was I was like, oh my God. And at this point, now now they're saying that us foreigners had to wear masks in the government office now, in the um immigration office. Now this is what they're saying to us, right? So now they have this gig of people standing outside selling masks, right? It's all a money game. So they sold the mask there, and mine had fallen on the floor. I had gotten out of the building, did what I had to do, gotten out of the building. Mine fell on the floor, and one of the security guards there, really nasty young woman, she was like, "Put your mask back on." I said my mask fell on the floor, and plus I am outside. I didn't need to wear the mask outside. No one else is wearing a mask. She herself wasn't wearing a mask, but she's telling me to, just in a nasty way. So I didn't put it back on. I left. The next day that we got the passports, I told um, my driver, I says, you know what? Can you go ahead and get the passports? Because I just sensed that something wasn't right. Because here it is. We are at immigration at 10 a.m. and they're telling us to come back the next day. And I was like, something isn't right. Okay. So he goes, he well, I sent my daughter, and then I was like, no, he said he'll go. And sure enough, they were giving her a hard time. But he didn't need a mask. He didn't need a mask. Only the foreigners needed a mask. All right. So the last time we go to immigration, we get there and I'm like, okay, great. We're gonna go straight to the guy, talk to him, and he's like, hey, he's like, okay, he was dealing with someone else. He finished, came to us. He's like, so what are you doing here? I'm like, yeah, we have to renew our extension. He's like, we want you to go back to your own country. And I'm like, dumbfounded, like, huh? He said, we want you to go. I was shocked. I walked out. I said, okay, thank you. I walked out. I don't even think I even said anything. I just walked away, walked across the street, and I just began bawling, just bawling because everything just became overly overwhelming because you're dealing with the opposition in that country. Then, plus, you're dealing with I have family that I left behind in the States. Am I ever going to see them again? Then you're dealing because of everything that is going on over there. It's not going on where we are. It's business as usual. I even forgot there was COVID was even a thing, because we were just living life regularly, right? So, um, it was just becoming unbearable. Just everything, one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. So my cousin, I have a cousin who lived in Abu Dhabi, and I decided um, that we were going to go to the UAE, right? To see how things were there, and if I liked it there, we were going to pick up and go and stay. um we were just gonna, like, grab our stuff in the house, get, and let go of the house. So we ended up going to Abu Dubai. We stayed in Dubai for 3 weeks. We couldn't even Things were very different there in terms of COVID. Every move you made, you needed a test. So if when we wanted to travel from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, well, my cousin, she had gotten, vaccinated. We did not. Um, so she was able to travel. Plus, she still needed the test. She still needed the test. So she came to see us, but we could not go to Abu Dhabi to her just yet. We had to stay a little longer in order to go to Abu Dhabi. So we were in Dubai. It was fine. There was a lot to do. We lived like literally around the corner from the Dubai Mall and the Burj Khalifa. So, you know, in walking distance. So, we had a lot to do. There was a lot there to do. We went to Global Village, just everything. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I felt feminine. I felt safe. This is the first place in my life that I have ever been in that I have felt the safest. I felt so safe. You can walk around in Dubai 3 o'clock in the morning and no one would bother you. No one would come after you. Nothing, 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 nothing. Everyone, oh, welcome, 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 welcome to the UAE. Welcome to the beautiful. My experience. This is my experience. Other people have had their experiences. My experience was that I had, I loved it there. It really and truthfully, that is all of our, that was the favorite place that we loved the most, the UAE. If we could have stayed, the reason why we did not stay was because it was expensive. The living, if you were not sponsored by an employer to go and live in Dubai and pay the rent a year in advance, which is what they require, then it will end up being very expensive for, the average person. You would have to live with a lot of people and come up with a lot of money. So that was the reason why we didn't stay. So we stayed in Dubai for 3 weeks, and then we um
Excuse me, Kay. Can I ask you a question? What is the
mhm,
average rent in Dubai for, I guess, a two-bedroom?
about, I would say, per month it would be maybe between 23 and 4,500, like 23 and 5 2,300 to $5,000, give or take. Yeah, depending
Okay.
on where you are. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
um and for me personally, I mean, I was paying like 500 a week. That's a lot. That's a lot. um
It's
that's
especially a
more.
lot when you're coming from paying so much less.
Right, right. Exactly. And then even in the States, I wasn't paying that. I wasn't paying that for where I was in the States. So, that was a lot of money. Um, and even we looked around in Abu Dhabi to see if maybe we could find something less, but no, no. So we ended up having to leave. My cousin, she was sponsored. She what is a teacher, so she was offered a position there. Her rent, she didn't have to pay rent. Um, she bought herself a brand new car. I mean, she was living well there. She was living very well there. She ended up leaving um in 2022, August of 2022, and going back to the States, and she regrets it. You can tell that she regrets. She was there for like 8 years, and when she was leaving, I mean, the gifts that they gave her, man, I mean, gold bracelets, earrings, wow, beautiful things. But it's such, for me, it was just a place where you can really be in tune with yourself, well, in tune spiritually, because you see them stopping everything midday and praying. So you yourself, are feel that, you feel like, okay, well, I should be doing this. The food, the quality of the food there is superior to on this side of the world. Even in Qatar, the same thing. The food quality, perfect. Okay, very high standard, and of course there's no pork or anything like that. So M&Ms are not, or gummy worms or whatever, gummy bears or whatever, are not the same as you would get on this side of the world. It's a lot, the ingredients are a lot cleaner. Um, people when they go out, they dress. They're not in jeans and a t-shirt and, looking just every day. They are looking well put together. So you yourself feel the need to step up your game and look nice and things of that nature, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, man, I feel great. I and people are willing to talk to you. You talk to different people. You meet people from all over the world there. I will say that while I was there, my only thing was like certain people from India or Pakistan, they weren't friendly. They weren't friendly. They would say things to me like, oh, well, can you afford such, X, Y, and Z? And I just walk away. I wouldn't even support them because me, I'm very much like that. I like, first and foremost, I like to support my own people. And if my people aren't there, I will then support the local people, whoever it is. But if I'm being treated a certain way, I'm not gonna support you because, yeah, well, you don't need my business and I don't need what you have that badly. So there you go. Um, so you know, in the UAE, I loved it. I really, really loved it. So we stayed there. After we left the UAE, sadly, we went back to Tanzania for a week. The day while we were in Abu Dhabi, I had gotten a phone call from the Dalali. Dalali means agent, which is really like a real estate agent from the Dalali in Tanzania who showed me the house that I was living in. And I hadn't heard from him in months. So I'm like, why is he calling me? And he's like, oh, are you planning on coming back to Tanzania? And I'm thinking, how do you even know? No, I said it. I said, how do you know that I'm not there? Who told you that I am not there? Hmm. And I hear the places like where he was like echo. And I'm like, are you in my house? Because I didn't have furniture in the house because I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay. We had beds, but that was, and our suitcases and stuff, but that was basically it. And I said, are you in my house? He says, no, I'm in my house. But he's telling me what's in my daughter's room. And her room was on the main floor. The rest of the bedrooms were upstairs. And no one could get upstairs because I had locked at the foot of the stairs, there's a door. So, and all of the locks are double locks. So I locked that door. I locked all of the bathroom doors upstairs, all of the bedroom doors upstairs. Plus, I had um, a dressing room between my bedroom and my bathroom, and I locked that door, both of the doors. So no one was getting in, and I locked all the windows. So no one was getting in at all. And even if they were able to get in through one of the windows, they wouldn't have been able to open any doors. So, upstairs would have been a fail for them. So I'm like, okay, huh. So I called the landlord. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, nothing is going on. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Believe me. I'm calling my friends there. I'm like, can you pass by the house and make sure nobody is there? Pass by the house, make sure no one is there. I'm in Abu Dhabi. All of this is going on. Huh. I get back home. The day that we get back home, we got back in the morning. I am standing in my son's room, because his room is to the back of the house. Mine was to the front, and I look outside of the window in the back at the wall in the back, and I noticed that there was a ladder. I said, "Bingo!" I took a picture, and at this point, I was like, "Okay, we cannot stay in the UAE." I was, I had it in my mind when I was when I had gotten back, I was gonna stay. I was going to say, you know what, we're just gonna stay and work it out here. When I saw that ladder,
Tanzania, you were going to try to work it out in Tanzania?
I was gonna try to work it out in Tanzania, yes. But when I saw that ladder, that was it. I said, no more, no more. That was it. I said, we're leaving. So we left. Few days later, we left. A few days later, the president had just been offed, and that all of that was going on, and we had moved. One of my friends, um, who used to live in the States, who was from Tanzania, she had an apartment in the city, and we went to go stay there. um, this was something against my will. I do not like staying in apartments, especially in the city. It was very old. It was, it was just yuck. And, but, we had a nice view. That was it. So we stayed there for a week, and it was very hot and just miserable. The day before we were set to leave Tanzania, the the day before, the lights went out. The lights went out. We were on the 15th floor. The 15th floor. So that means the elevator wasn't working. We had to go all the way up the stairs to the 15th floor. Then we had to, you know, um, I told my friend she had gone to Turkey. So she's like, "Oh, you can go stay by my house." So we went to her house and stayed the night there. Came back, got our stuff to go to the airport, and our flight was in the evening. So we had to take all 18 suitcases down 15 flight of stairs. So we're calling every person we can to help us, whatever security guard, whatever, to come help us bring. We're going downstairs. It is pitch black in the stairwell, pitch black. Most of those men, they did one trip, and that was it. They were like, that's it, no more, that's it. We packed everything in the car, and as we began pulling off, we didn't even leave the parking lot. As soon as we began pulling off, the lights came on again. I said, okay. So that was Tanzania's way of saying bye. And I said, no problem. Receive, I'm out. You will not see me again. We get to the airport, and the woman is telling me about, oh, you know, it's going to be this much for all of these bags. So you can't take that. I said, these are all my bags, and they're coming with me. Do you understand? I said, they're coming with me. I paid for everything. Boom. That was it. We were on the plane back to Qatar. Um, we we stayed in the States for 2 days. Stayed in the States for 2 days and went to Mexico. We went to Guadalajara. And I was still like stressed, like a ball of stress, like, oh my goodness. Okay. Now in Mexico, things were a little bit different. You had to wear a mask in public places. A lot of places were closed. But you could still, do things, you could still get around. Um, it was still, not too bad. And, they were open, they were welcoming, whatever. So we went. I was looking to go to Turkey actually, um, but it just didn't work out. So we went to Mexico, and went to Guadalajara. We stayed in Tonala. Tonala is kind of it's funny because the Uber drivers would be like, "What? Why would you want to stay here? This is like a rough area. It's delinquent. Why would you want to stay here?" So they were giving me tips, and they were very helpful and very friendly and very, very nice, very nice, very accommodating. Even when we were going through immigration at the airport, my heart was beating out of my chest because of what I went through in Dar es Salaam. And the woman was like, "How long are you here for?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, 6 months." She stamped our passport. She was like, "Welcome to Mexico." And I took a deep breath. I was like, "Wow, wow, wow, night and day, complete difference." So we stayed in Tonala, and for about 3 weeks until there was a sign posted on the compound wall from the water department. The water was about to be shut off. I'm guessing they didn't pay. I don't know what the situation was, but my Airbnb hostess picked us up and took us to two other Airbnbs that she had. We had a choice of either staying in Tonala or going cross town to Zapopan. We ended up going to Zapopan. I was like, I don't want to stay over here. We'll go somewhere else. So we went to Zapopan. We stayed there for a week, and then we left Guadalajara. We did a lot in Guadalajara. I mean, we for us to be there during the pandemic and whatnot. I mean, we went to museums. We went to so many. We did so much. Um, you know, just live life in the local. Like a local. It was wonderful. Um, we left Guadalajara. We took a bus to Puerto Vallarta. We stayed a few weeks in Puerto Vallarta. Um, the first place we stayed in, it was the most expensive place we stayed. It was in a high rise building overlooking the water, beautiful view. The apartment was trash. I mean, it was okay, but there were broken fixtures. Certain things in the apartment were dirty. Um, the towels were old. The bed in the master bedroom was disgusting. It was old and, peeling and falling apart. Oh my goodness. So again, this was something that I had to go through with this, set of people. And our first day, we went out to eat. We came home. We were locked out of the apartment, and I had to call the Airbnb host and tell her, "Look, we can't get in." She thought I did something. She accused me of tampering with the door. And I'm like, "What would I get out of tampering with the door?" But she's like, "Oh, this never happened before." So her cleaning lady came, changed the batteries, and zoop, 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 we were in the apartment, no problem. All right, next day, the same cleaning lady lets herself in while we're sleeping, to address all of the issues that I had with the apartment. I'm like, "Look, Sam's Club is right across the street. Walmart is across the street. You can get new towels." So it was, things like that. So after going through that and going through, and even though she came to clean, she still didn't clean it properly. And then, then they had a rug there with, like, as soon as you shake the rug or as soon as you step on the rug, like spiders, like hundreds of spiders would just start coming out of. Lord have mercy. So again, it always takes one thing that makes me decide to leave. So we go down to the pool, and I get a text from the woman, and she's like, "Oh, I'm glad that you're, enjoying the pool." And I'm like, "How do you know?" I guess she can read where how we're moving or whatever. I didn't like that. And then she sends me a bill for the light. I'm like, "Oh, absolutely not. We've been sitting here in the dark most of the time. We barely have the lights on. We barely have anything on. We're barely even here during the day. So why?" I said, "You know what? Time to leave." Packed up, arranged for another place to stay. We went over there, and we had, the place was smaller. We didn't have the view, the beautiful, spectacular view, but we did have great, a great space, great service, great space, and all of that. We stayed there for a while. While we were there in Puerto Vallarta, we met with a girl who's a nurse, and she does like drips. She does like vitamin C drips. We did the vitamin C drips. We did chelation therapy, which I do not recommend. We did, unless you need it for, whatever it's good for your specific needs. We did ozone therapy. That was the first time we did ozone therapy. My daughter even bought an ozone machine, um, because she was able to get an ozone machine. Ozone therapy is not a thing in the States, it is a thing outside of the States. In Mexico, it's a big thing. Ozone therapy is good because it oxygenates the blood, gets the blood going. It's very good for treatment for a lot of illnesses, a lot of things. So we did that while we were in Puerto Vallarta. When we left Puerto Vallarta, we flew to Merida. We were in Merida for 2 weeks. And I did, of course, when you go there, you're like, man, where's the people? Where's the people? There's nobody here. We stayed in Monte de Ame. Um,
Remind me what
it,
year we in. We in 2021?
this is now May of 2021. Um, it was, I know the heat. We turn off the AC, and
What month
before
was it,
5
Kay?
minutes hit, we were we were drenched in sweat before 5 minutes hit.
What
And
month
I'm
did you
like,
come, Kay? May.
huh?
Oh, May.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, May started warming up. Yes, May.
Yes, yes. And every day, 2:30 p.m., it rained. I mean, the clouds opened up and showed out. I mean, it rained, poured every single day that we were there, except for maybe 1 or 2 days. And one of those days was the day before we left. Um, but we went to yeah, and that day we went to the beach. We went to, yeah. But what happened there? Okay, so we went to a restaurant called Avocado, and we decided we were going to sit. They have an outdoor seating and indoor seating. We went to seat indoors because it was hot, and they took their time to send us. I mean, we stayed a total of 4 hours there. They I never got the food that I ordered. When my daughter had gotten the food she ordered, the food was inedible. My two younger, they had gotten their food maybe an hour after us being there. So that experience left a bad taste in my mouth. Then we later on, we went to the mall and what have you, La Isla. We went to um what was it? We went to, what is a place across the street from there? This, I forget. Uh
Across the street from La Isla.
yeah. Um the restaurant, the American restaurant. What is it called?
What's across the street? Boston's, Fridays, Chili's.
No.
Um,
It was like, they had like the good bread, the nice rolls and stuff like that. I forget. Anyway, we went there. I forget the name. I haven't been to the States in a while. I don't remember. Anyway, we went there and we sat down at the table and no one came to us for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, now this is on the heels after the whole avocado incident, same day and everything. Um, but while we were in the mall, my son, I took my son to get a haircut. They did a fantastic job. They treated him like a king, gave him water, gave him new mask. I mean, he loved it because they massaged his scalp and washed his hair. I mean, he loved it. And they were very nice. They asked if they could take pictures. I was fine with it. Very, very nice, very accommodating. And then we left the mall to only go to these people, and no one, came for 20 minutes. I said, all right. So I called the Uber, and finally someone came, and he's like, hey, would you like to order anything? I said, I called the Uber. And he says, oh, is this to go? I says, no. I says, we're leaving because no one came for 20 minutes. He said, okay, I'm sorry. Would you like some bread? I said, yeah, you can bring bread for them. So they ate the bread. We got up when the Uber came and left, and that was it. After that, it was Rappi all the way. Rappi, Rappi, Rappi. I- every day was Rappi, which was fine with me. And even Rappi Costco. I mean, I love Costco. Anyway, so so that was our experience there. While we were there, we did something called cambo. Um, and so the woman came to our house and she administered the cambo, and I had done it on my back, and which, they make holes on your back and then they apply the combo on your back, and then they remove it, and then you purge. It's something that you purge everything. You purge emotionally, you purge physically, you purge. um and it lasts for about 20 minutes, the purging. Well, the whole process. So we did that. After the second day, I was like, I can't, because you have to drink a lot of water. But my daughter, she was a trooper. She was like, they were putting like 15 points on her, and she was like, hmm. I'm like, wow. I was like five here, maybe six. That's it. That's it. I couldn't do it. So we did the combo. They put it on my back. The pain went away. I had back pain at that very moment. The pain went away instantly. Instantly. Um, so that's what we did in Merida. We left Merida. We I to be honest, I did not like Merida, and it wasn't because um, I didn't like Merida because of my experiences. I let my experiences, you know, that one day, you know, and it was just, I guess it was because I was still trying to purge everything that I went through in Tanzania, you know? So it was hard. It was hard to, like, break off from that and, just kind of like separate that. I was like, oh no, forget it. Um, but toward the end, things started getting better and whatever. We went around a lot, we did the museums and stuff like that, went downtown, blah, blah, blah. Um, and, I mean, I did run into some people that weren't so nice, some people that were very nice, very helpful. Um, so we left Merida. We went to Oaxaca. Now, Oaxaca is funny because people in Merida was like, ugh, Oaxaca is different. It's very different than Merida. Everywhere you go to in Mexico, it is a different experience, completely different experience altogether. Oaxaca is, a lot older. Um, there's a lot very rich in culture. Just a really, it was different, but it was nice. It was nice. The people were very nice, very nice. I mean, even my Airbnb hostess, we were in touch for a while. We stayed in touch for a while. She was just very, very nice. They would every morning. How are you? How's everything? Here's a list of things to do, every single day. Her and her husband. Her and her husband. So that experience was nice. We ended up extending our stay in Oaxaca. We met up with the group um in Oaxaca, blacks in Oaxaca. We some people I'm still in contact with up until today. That was a great experience. Great, great, great experience. We did a lot of things there as well. Medically, what we did there, we did hyperbaric ozone therapy while we were in Oaxaca. Which we would go into we went into a hyperbaric chamber, put on a mask, and breathed in the ozone. And that was an experience. When we got out, my son actually had gotten sick, and they said it's working on him. I guess whatever was going on with him, it just came out. Everything, came out. Um, and so we ended up extending our stay in Oaxaca because we really enjoyed it. We had fun, we met friends and stuff like that. Did a couple of different things. Then we left, we stayed in a house, then we went to another place across town, which I didn't too care for. I mean, the place itself was nice, but they were doing a lot of construction, and it gets cold around this time of year in Oaxaca. It gets cold, it gets chilly, especially at night. So and we weren't really prepared for that. I mean, we're coming from heat, so being in a place that's kind of cold, it's a lot. So yeah, we left Oaxaca and went to Mexico City. We took a bus.
Before you went to Mexico City, Oaxaca, how much is the rent running in Oaxaca?
Um, Oaxaca. Okay. I have a friend who's there now, who lives there now. She's been living there for when we were there, she had been living there for I think about a year. She was paying, for a small place for herself, but now she has like a casita right now. um, about $130 US a month. She was paying that. That was her rent. Um, I think at the casita, maybe she's paying a little bit more, but that was basically what she was paying. One thing that I see people saying, "Oh, like $500 is it's cheap." $500 is not cheap in Mexico. $500 is not cheap outside of the United States because that is half or maybe a monthly income. So 500 USD for rent is the equivalent of us paying $3,000 US for an apartment in the United States, you know? So we're going to these places and saying, oh, yeah, that's cheap. That's cheap. No, it's not. It's expensive because an apartment for a two-bedroom apartment over there, it should be like maybe between 5 and 9,000 pesos. Not even 9,000. I mean, even somewhat. This guy in Puerto Vallarta, he was like 9,000 pesos. He was like, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm talking to locals. It's everyone, everywhere I went. I got a little information from everywhere. People are telling me different things from everywhere. So, um,
You are right, Kay, because I have a friend in Canacin. He has a
mhm.
one-bedroom house, and his rent is 2,000 pesos.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And so when we see those prices, when you see 500 and up, that you're you're overpaying. You're overpaying. Um, which is definitely having an effect on the locals. Um, in Merida, one thing I did find out was that the locals, they're not too happy about the non-melanated presence there because they have decided to change certain laws to suit, because they're used to the Mexicans are very much like us. Mexico to me reminded me a lot of Africa. Um, they are, in some ways, they are a lot like us. They, in many ways, not some,
They are
many.
not. They are exactly like us.
They
That's
are
why I'm here.
exactly, yes,
Now
yes,
you've been here months. I've been here years, almost three.
yes,
So my
yes,
experience has been different from yours as far as the people. They are the most accepting people I've ever been around. They
yes,
accept me more than people in the U.S. So my
yes.
experience has been a bit different, but they are exactly like us.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. Um, so they were not happy in Merida. They're not happy with the non-melanated presence because they moved in and started changing laws. Now,
They
uh,
do not like non-melanation. They do
no,
not. They now
no,
that's the truth. They do not. It's a
no,
sighting if they see somebody non-melanated. They're like, "Oh my god,"
yeah,
because it's like little to no presence in the city.
yes, yes, and but the further up you go, the further north in Mexico you go, you're going to see more of that mestizo look. You're going to see them that look more non-melanated, if you will, especially Mexico City, especially in Mexico City. You will in Guadalajara, maybe here and there, but in Mexico City, you're definitely going to see a lot more of them there. Um, and the air is going to be completely different. I noticed that in Guadalajara, they're very nice, they're very friendly, they're very, I mean, even one of the policemen, they were like, "You okay?" And he's like, "God bless you." And I wanted to cry. I wanted to, I'm like, oh my goodness, a police officer telling me, "God bless you."
That's
Where are
been
you
my
gonna find that?
experience. too. Yes, these
Yes.
policemen, I call them the sexy policemen because they so sweet. They change your tire. They'll
Yeah.
help you and protect for real.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, I have not had any issues. And that's one thing about Mexico that I do love is that people there are helpful. The police the police there are helpful. They are serious about their job. They're not, I mean, maybe you may find a few exceptions, though that's everywhere. Okay, you got to take you can't just expect every T to be crossed and I to be dotted every, in a specific place you go to. Everywhere is going to have their issues. Everywhere. Um, so after we left Oaxaca, we took a bus to Mexico City. We stayed in a hotel because I didn't want to stay there too long. And I was thinking I wanted to go to where to where I wanted to go to other places, but things were winding down. My daughter, she had used an ATM in Merida, and her card was sucked up, and all kind. So we had to kind of start winding down the trip now, unfortunately. So we stayed for about a week or so in Mexico City. Um, I'm not a fan of Mexico City. Mexico City is great. It's beautiful for to visit. To live, I would not. Personally, I would not. Um, you know, the hotel we were staying in, for example, there was a homeless family living right in front of the hotel in a tent, in a makeshift tent. I mean, though you see city life in Mexico City. I mean, hardcore city life. So, and of course you see the opposite end too. You see the high-end stores and all of that. That is nice, but it doesn't really do anything. It's not interesting to me. So
And
we
it's
said,
pretty expensive, right?
and
And
it's very expensive, yes. And people are, you go there and people are checking your bills to make sure you're giving them real money and, stuff like that, which is not what you experience in other parts of Mexico. They're, you know, anywhere else, they're just taking your bills and they're good with it. But there, no, they're inspecting that bill to make sure that, it's the real thing. So very polar opposite from Oaxaca and other places. So we left there by bus and went back to Guadalajara and stayed in Tlaquepaque, which I love that area. And we stayed there for about a few days and then we flew out. So you know, our that was the gist of our travels within that period of time. I mean, we've left the country since, but and gone to different places, but that is that's what we did while we were during the pandemic, if you will.
girl, what you did, what you didn't do. I mean, my God. I got like 4 pages, 5 pages worth of notes. I got my whole book. 'Cause what you have been on girl.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. Wow. Thank you. First of all, thank you for sharing your story, your stories, um, and all the shifts and changes in your life and how you handled them. And we were talking in the chat while you were telling your story, and we were talking about your resilience, your
Yes.
ability to let go and move on to find your place of peace. A lot of people admired that. We were like, KB gone. She's like, this ain't it. And you don't waste time trying to make it. You know what I mean? Make it
Mhm,
fit.
mhm.
So I'm sure people have a lot of questions for you, but I'm gonna ask my first because I might cover some of the ones that they want to ask. So I'm gonna go all the way back. Now, before I do that, okay, you are in Panama now,
I
right?
I am currently in Panama. Yes.
And
Yes.
how are you liking that being back home? Because that's her origination. So I
Right.
know we talked about it and you said it changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. It has
Mhm.
changed a lot. So um as a s- I was born 1970, right? My When I was born, my mother um was in the States. I was born in the States. She was there since December of 67. That's when she arrived in the States and she never went back. So she was an illegal alien when I was born. So many of my cousins went back and forth, came back and forth between here and the States. Travel here back and forth, back and forth. I wasn't one of them because of her situation.
Mhm.
Um, so I did not actually start coming here until 1979. We came here.
Okay.
First, we had to go to Canada to fix her situation in 1973. And then we, in 79, was the first time that she had returned here since
Mhm.
leaving in 69, in 67.
7. Mhm.
Um, After 79, 80, Christmas 79, 80, um, we, I came back, no, we came back in 80, 83. So from then until 84. Mhm.
Okay.
So from then until 1984, I was
Mhm.
back and forth every, Christmas, spring, summer vacation. I was going back and forth. So when my last time that I went back to the States in 84, September of 84, I was hysterical. I did not want to come back. I did not want to go back to the States. I wanted to stay here. When we got off the plane, my mother said, never again. You will not be going back there again. And sure enough, I never went back until I was an adult, until 2020, 20 oh 03, 2003. There was a huge 100-year and centenario. It's called a centenario, where people from all over the United States, Panamanians from all over the United States, came down here and celebrated the 100-year independence. And there was a lot going on. People were here, and it was good to see everybody here that I hadn't been here with, and seen them, operating in their environment now, and they're happy, and everyone was just having a ball. That was the last time that many of them had been here. After that, a lot of them just started dying. After that trip, a lot of them just started dying off one by one by one by one. So many people are now gone. And that was 2003. And changes were being made here already. They were building the highway here and everything. So now they have a highway where they have tolls. They have what is this? The the train system here, which is something I've never taken, because for me personally, it's easier to take Uber. But All of that was not here. Even, where I live here in this area here, this used to be farmland. There used to be homes here. Now there's buildings here. So it's very bittersweet to come, because when I was growing up, whatever I saw was basically what my mother grew up seeing, and my aunts and uncles, they grew up seeing the same thing. I rode in trains that were made in the early 1900s, maybe the late 1800s, from riding from the city to Cologne, which is takes hours. Um, that's all overhauled, completely different trains, nice, beautiful train. Everything is different. There are some positive changes. There are a lot of, for me personally, negative changes. One of the negative things are a lot of the culture has been taken. We used to be a country that had gold, right? When you used to when we used to identify people in the states that were Panamanian, it was through their gold. We saw gold teeth. We knew right away Panamanian. We would see um, people wearing gold like this, a distinct way of how our gold um, is done, was done here. These things are erased because a lot of the Jewish people came here and took over the gold business. Um, Even the indigenous cultures are watered down now. Our national dress that used to be sewn by hand, now that's mass produced, with paint, and it's not as intricate as before. So a lot of the things that I grew up knowing, the children of today, even the young 20 somethings, know nothing. I went to an immigration lawyer the other day, and I was talking to one of the girls in the office, and she said, the Panama that you know is a very different Panama that I grew up in. And I said, and that really hit home. And I'm like, yes. And it's funny because back in 2003, everyone was like, how does it feel being back home? And I was like, bittersweet. But even now, it's even more so than 20 years ago, because it's many of the places are unrecognizable, and a lot of places are unfortunately not kept up. We used to have a lot of green spaces, beautiful. Now there's a lot of buildings everywhere. Buildings, they're building.
I think that's synonymous with a lot of these corporations that are moving abroad and modernizing city, Americanizing these rural countries and different
Yes,
countries because of the economic power, right, that they
yes,
have there.
right, right.
So
Like
it's unfortunate.
one of the Uber drivers, he was telling me, because uh, right outside my window, you can see we have a stadium like a couple of blocks away. You can see it from here clearly. And he said his grandfather owned all of this land over here, all of this land, and they bought it off of the grandfather for like 5, 10,000. And now look, and he's saying you used to see horses roaming around and cows and, houses, homes, people's homes. And now it's not the same anymore. It's different, and all of the money now it's gone. All of the money that that they sold the land for it's gone. Now what do you have? Which is another issue that I have, um is that many people are less and less are becoming landowners. And I mean, that's something that I wanted to talk about, but for sake of time, I'll kind of hold off on that. But
We
You know
would
that.
love to have you back to talk about some of the things that we didn't cover. I got a laundry list of questions. It's been about 2 hours, so a couple of people had to leave us. Um, but I'm recording this, so they'll be able to see the end of it.
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna hold you, I'm not gonna hold them, but we can always do a follow-up call because you held everybody for 2 hours. We were all like, oh my God, what? What happened? So a lot of information and transparency, which
Yeah,
my
I'm good. I'm good. I can talk. I can talk all night.
right, and
I'm
that's what I
good.
want you to do. We're gonna have you back. We can do sessions until you get it all out because we'll learn so much from your experience. I often say there's no soft learning. We will learn through challenges and experiences. But Lenora, I think it was pointed out today that this is soft learning, learning through other people's experiences, learning through other people's trials and tribulations or successes, whatever you may encounter. So this is the soft learning. So I
Mhm.
want to open it up for Q&A. We're going to have you back because I want you to delve more into this Panamanian experience that you've had, especially because it's your roots, you know. So it's multi-layered. I'm a 69 baby, 1969, so I'm right behind you.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I know what you mean about the cultural shift,
Yes.
like from landowners to workers of
Yes.
corporations, right? So I'm digging on that and I want to go into that. I want to open it up. We still have 9 people, I think, 8 still on board. But any questions that you have for Kay, you can
Hmm.
open up your mic and ask any questions that you all may have. I'm going to start with one question that I have. And I think I know the answer to this, Kay, but I'm going to ask anyway. What is your favorite place? I know the answer to this, but where is your favorite place you've ever lived or traveled? Out of everywhere you've gone, what was your favorite place abroad? I think you're gonna say Dubai or Iraq.
Okay. Actually, I have three.
Okay.
The first, well, four: Qatar, UAE, Mexico, and Curacao. Curacao was my absolute favorite in terms of the islands. Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. I love it.
Hmm.
Anybody, if y'all got questions, come in, or you can put them in the chat and I'll read them. I'll ask one more question till y'all get your questions.
Hi,
Um,
Tia Nikki. It's
oh, there you go.
hi. Is it okay we just unmute and ask her question?
Yes, unmute yourself and ask your questions. Go right
Oh,
ahead.
wonderful. Kay, I really, man, appreciated just your story and your perseverance and how you were pursuing your place of peace, like throughout all of it. That's what I took away. Um,
Yes.
I I've been looking at moving abroad for quite some time. I'm really excited about my call with Tia Nikki this week. Um, what would you did you have to go back and forth with your thought process on should you move abroad, shouldn't you? Did you have to battle with any of that? And if so, or any advice you can give on someone who can just make the decision? Because you can always come back, but I hope my question makes sense. Like any advice you would give on if you're sort of teeter-tottering on do you do it, do you not do it?
Well, thank you for your question. First of all, I appreciate it. Um, there's always a battle. Well, first of all, I did battle in the beginning because, like I said, well, first of all, I work in the medical field, so there was no way. I didn't see a way of me making money um, outside of that. Outside of being in a brick and mortar somewhere working as a therapist. I didn't see that. So there was a lot of teetering with that. It was like, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? Plus, I have, my children, my younger children that I have to look out for. Plus, we need a home base. Plus, you know, all of those things were um, in my thought process. Absolutely. Um, and the Most High kind of pushed. He gave us a nudge into this lifestyle. Um, were there challenges financially? Absolutely. They come. They come whether you travel with $1 million or whether you travel with $5,000. They come. So yes, I definitely, what my advice would be step out of your comfort zone and do it. Just do it. You won't regret it. One thing about traveling teaches you, it shows you who you are. It exposes you. Like people say, marriage exposes you with every little uh, idiosyncrasy about you. Travel will show you who you are. Okay? It will either make you or it will break you. And you have to, I strongly believe that you should embrace the journey and always remember the why. Let that why drive you through. While we were in Tanzania, my thing was, we're going to, I had made the decision to go back there because I remembered, I thought about my family when they first came to the United States. It couldn't have been an easy transition. I've heard some of the stories, I've heard other people's stories of them first coming. It couldn't have been an easy thing. And we are doing the same exact thing in another country. So there are going to be challenges that you're going to be faced with. But again, do you want, are the challenges worth your journey, worth the end result? Or are you just going to give up, cave in, and quit? What at this stage, the way that things are happening in the United States, let us be honest. Okay, let us be very honest and transparent with ourselves. It will never get better. It's going to get worse. When I came home, I don't even remember from where I came home. We drove from Kennedy Airport to Canal Street, and we got off of the Manhattan Bridge, and I'm seeing to the left and to the right people living in tents at the foot of the bridge on both sides. That was devastating because that was something that, didn't even, it wasn't even a thought where I was. But that was the new reality in the States. And I'm coming from a long time of being away, and I come back and I'm like, wow, wow, this is real. This is real. All of this struggle everybody was going through, people were saying, I hear people still on YouTube saying, oh, when COVID, everybody was on lockdown. We were not on lockdown. We were in Tanzania, we were in St. Vincent, we were safe. We were in a safe zone. All praises to the Most High. We were in a safe zone. We were not on lockdown at all. We didn't even remember that there was even COVID going on until people came fresh off the plane and they were like, man, oh my God. Oh, I mean, it took when you arrive in a country, even here, me coming back here, it takes a while to detox. There's a detoxification process that happens, that has to happen, in order for you to begin your life in said country. It has to happen because you're coming from a traumatic place where you cannot heal. You can't heal in the United States. You cannot. There is no healing there. There is no healing where the pain is being created. Okay? So you may not see how much damage is being done or has been done, but it's there. Because once you leave there and you come here and everybody is all cool and yeah, yeah, hey, how you doing? And you're like, why can't you move now? Oh my God. I mean, when I first came here, I was on total prep mode. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen when the dollar collapses? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What are these people going to do? Because we use the same dollar, the same currency that the people in the United States do. What are we going to do? That was my question for the whole year that I was here last year. That was my question. And people here, some people responded during COVID. The mindset here is different. They know how to switch into barter mode immediately. In the United States, people may be nice to you now, but when something catastrophic happens, the niceness is gone. It will leave. Okay. And if you're not prepared for what is coming, which I mean, that's a whole nother topic. Things are about to get serious over there. So,
They
and
are. Okay.
yeah,
You saying all, yes, honey, they are. And that's why people are hearing a call to leave
yeah,
because it's getting thick.
yeah. So, it's a lot. Okay. I'm going to stop and go ahead.
No, thank you so much. And Lenora, thank you.
Thank you.
That
Yes.
Lenora came in and asked the question. I'm sorry, I forgot. LaDon. She asked the question. Um, and I want to piggyback on what Kay said. And I think the biggest culprit is fear. It's fear. All of that
Hmm.
you described, I think, wraps up into fear. And I want you to keep this in mind. Don't allow your fear of staying in the U.S. outweigh your fear of leaving the U.S.
Hmm.
Because of what I do, and I work with people a lot, the hardest curve that I deal with is the trauma and the damage because people don't understand how damaged and traumatized they are. And
Yeah.
you can't see it. You can see parts of it. You know something's wrong. You know
Yeah.
something ain't right. You know, but once you separate, it's amazing what you can see. And then how you respond to it. Like Kay was saying, you start the healing process in you, and there is no way to avoid it. It's going to happen. It will happen. It is no
Hmm.
way to avoid it.
Yes.
Once you separate and you get into a space of healing, a space of kindness, uh, warmness, nurturing, and you get all that you've been lacking, is like a newborn baby coming out.
Yes.
You're being fed but from the womb. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it opens up your mind to places that you can't fathom being on that side.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see if we have any questions in the chat.
I have one.
Oh, Sabir has one. Go ahead, Sabir.
Thank you, Tia Nikki.
You're welcome.
Saludos que desde Nueva York. Encantada de conocerle. Um,
Mucho gusto.
mucho gusto. I wanted to ask you if the treatments that you had shared that you were getting in Mexico, the ozone, I forget the term you used, when you took that particular treatment, do you recommend that for persons who've never done it before to do it multiple times a week, or would it be like a multiple times per month type of thing? And I assume that's like a benefit for like cancer situations as well to get more oxidation in your system, because I'd always heard that oxygen was one of the best defenses against formations of cancer in the body.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, that was my first time. That was my first time. Thank you, by the way, for the question. That was my very first time doing ozone therapy, which was in Puerto Vallarta. What I didn't mention was when we were in, I believe it was when we had gone back to Guadalajara, or yeah, I think it was in Guadalajara. We went to a place where I did blood ozone, where the woman, so I did different types. I did the hyperbaric, I did the blood ozone, and I did the intravenous ozone therapy. The blood one was the best one for me. Why? Because it gave me immediate energy. She took my blood out, oxygenated it, and put it back in. And I had so much energy. But the thing about it was, it took a while because I had on a mask and I was wearing a mask and my blood was dark. And she said, "This is not good. Your blood is too dark. It's so dark. What's going on?" I said, "It's the mask." She says, "You need more oxygen. You need to, you take deep breaths." She's telling me, take deep breaths. It was because of the mask. I was wearing the mask. Even as a medical professional, we are not supposed to be wearing those masks. We don't wear those masks all day long. If we walk into a room with a patient that is, uh, you know, self-contained, we put on the mask, we put on the PPE, we walk into the room, we deal with the patient, we leave, we remove everything. We don't walk around the whole day with a mask on. So blocking all of that, all of your natural, the natural air. You have trees around you in Mexico, lots of trees filtering your air. There's no need for a mask. There's no need for a mask. Actually, in reality, let me tell. I know. I'm sorry. I keep going off topic, but I feel like I need to tell you this. But actually, in 2017, I had gotten COVID. I had gotten COVID. 2017. I had just finished. I had gone to my last patient. He said he wasn't feeling well. I told him, I said, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow." And I came home that night right before I went to bed. I was feeling a little achy. So I went to bed, got up the next day, the breathing, it was hard to breathe. My joints were hurting me, my whole body. I felt like a truck hit. I thought I was going to die. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was going to die. And I was sick for a whole week. And then, it took me another week to recover. How did I know it was COVID? Because when I had gotten it again after traveling all throughout COVID, right? All throughout those times during COVID, it took for me, when we came back from Aruba in October 2022, same day I had gotten sick. I saw a little boy coughing up a lung. My children had gotten sick on the ship, my two younger children, because they were in the same teen group, in that same thing. And I said, okay, there's ground zero right there. Then when I got home, by the time we got home, we left Florida, we docked in Florida. We stayed in Florida at my same cousin who lived in Abu Dhabi. We stayed with her and then we left. The same day I had gotten sick immediately. Guess what got me well? My daughter had hooked up her ozone machine. She made me ozone water. I drank it. Immediately, it started reversing. Immediately.
Hermosa.
Immediately. So
Hermosa.
do I recommend it? I recommend it for everyone. Whatever you have, I recommend ozone therapy. Absolutely.
Muchísimas gracias, señora.
Por
That's
nada. A la orden.
Thank you, Tia Nikki.
You're welcome. Y'all make me sick with this Spanish. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. That's amazing. I mean, the stuff we learned today, guys, is crazy. It's 4 minutes to 7. We've been on this call for like 2.5 hours. I'm not gonna hold y'all. If we have any more questions in the chat, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask them. I have about 6 pages worth of notes. So if you all are willing and able and interested, we will have another conversation with Kay because we got like so much experience and just we would need 10 people to share stories to get this much information, experience, knowledge, insight. Even just we've gone to places that we haven't gone to physically, but I was in the UAE when she was talking about it. I felt fancy. I had on my shoes. I was ready to go out because I said, "Oh, okay." And it makes me want to visit and not go to Tanzania for not one reason. I don't need to go. And it was on my radar. It was on my radar as of interest, as a place of interest. So we've gotten so much. We got to sit and think about all of this. Look at the replay. And read the transcript is available. If you don't want to look at the replay, you can go through the skim through the transcript. I will send you all the link. It'll be on my Google Drive, so you'll have direct access. I'll make sure you're a viewer. If you have any follow-up questions you want me to ask Kay, because she's on my WhatsApp, we in communication. Let me know. Um, I went to school in this live gratitude TNK. Yeah, I know we all went to school, didn't we? I've taken more notes than I took in any class. And I have other questions too. So we got to have a follow up. I think a lot of questions may come later as you sit and let this information absorb. So I won't hold anybody else up. It's been a beautiful evening. Thank you so much, Kay. I'm so happy you sent me that message and told me you was gonna do this. This is the best decision I made in a long time, having you with us, and we appreciate you. The people that left wanted to make sure that I told you they appreciated. They were tuned in, and really thank you for sharing and being so transparent with us and telling us the truth. Like you said, a lot of time on YouTube they make it pretty, and all the time it's not pretty.
No, it's not. It's
So
not.
I'm going to give you the floor for some closing parting words if you would like to share with us on moving abroad. Let me see here. Let me end with one good question. Um, let's see. How do you think living abroad has, and you talked about this, and I remember this question. How do you think living abroad has shaped your identity? We'll close with that because I think it's huge. When you write, thank you, Lenore. People say they took notes because you talked about the cleansing, the healing, and when you move and how you become like almost another person. You know what I mean? Like your old skin sheds and you have a new skin. So if you in closing, if you could give us some words on your experience and how it's changed, affected, adjusted your identity and made you a better person because we can see it. We see the
Well,
good.
um, I mean that's a very good question. Well, like I said before, it exposes traveling exposes you, who you are, your core being. So if you are not good with money, right? Your money, you can travel with $50,000, you can travel with $10,000. And let me just tell you this, I'm going to be very honest. I went to Africa with $6,000. Okay. I left Africa with almost $10,000. Okay. So it is about how you handle your money, how you handle yourself, how you handle yourself. Um, because you are going to see the raw you. If you are, uh, how can I say, if you are antisocial, you're going to be forced to be social. You have to be. Okay, so I would say when you're traveling, travel with zero expectation. Just go with a, you know, positive energy, but just, blank slate, blank slate. Just go and expect nothing. Expect nothing. Just go and experience, even, become that fly on the wall and just observe, take the time to sit and observe, not only observe your environment, but observe who you are. And it forces you to make changes within yourself. So definitely I would say, you know just that it forces you to see who you are, and you make changes accordingly.
Yes. I'm yes. That's
Mm-hmm.
all. She's
Yeah,
absolutely 1,000% correct. It
yeah.
becomes less about everybody else and all about you. It becomes about
Mm-hmm.
you as a person, and you
Yeah,
see so much of yourself. You really
yeah.
do. The good, the bad, and the ugly. You see it
Oh
all.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You
Oh
are
yeah.
forced to face yourself, your emotions, your mental state, whatever it is that's going
Everything.
on, you got to deal with it. It'll make you deal
Everything.
with it. Yep. That is so wise and so true.
And
One
even
question I
and
wanted to
even for my children too, they say the same thing.
same
You
thing.
know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Hmm.
We have one question from Lenore. She wanted to know if you use cargo shipping to ship any of your stuff.
I haven't, but I
Because you mentioned
actually.
you had 18 bags, so I thought maybe
Okay, no, they came on the plane.
they can't. She had all 18 on the plane. I love it.
No, if I did shipping, like the same guy who I told you that came with a substantial amount of money, he had stuff shipped. He even opened a business, a car
Drop
business.
shipment.
Yeah.
Drop
No,
shipment.
not
Oh,
drop
cargo
shipping.
business.
A car, a, a luxury car service business
Oh,
there.
luxury car.
And he had all of his stuff. They had their stuff shipped. And as soon as the stuff got there, they wanted to leave. They were ready to leave. They were ready to leave
Wow.
Tanzania. A lot of people left. A lot of people went to Egypt. Some people, a lot of people went back to the States, unfortunately. But aside from that, he had to pay a lot of money. It was like he had to pay double because they were giving him such a hard time. And it took months. I mean, he had his stuff shipped. They got to Tanzania, I think, in November of 2020, and they got their stuff in what, April or something like that. And I mean,
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, I do know Lenora, someone here has just used cargo shipping to move from Canada to
But
Merida.
okay, so there's someone here actually that I met that used mailboxes, etc. She said, to ship her whole house, and she said it was $5,000 to ship her whole entire house. Which was like, I think, a 4-bedroom house.
You
So
go. There you go.
mailboxes, etc.
Mailbox, etc. Y'all look it
But
up. Do some
but
research.
she used not air, sea. You have to
Yes,
indicate that
C.
it's by sea.
Right. My girlfriend used C as well.
Yeah, and it was, and which is a lot more than what I have right now. My stuff is sitting in storage in New Jersey, and every day I'm thinking, I gotta get it out. I gotta get it out. I gotta get it out. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that she used cargo. And they moved, like you said, the whole house. They moved everything from Canada to here using the ship. It came in on the ship, and then they delivered it from the ship to their
yeah,
location. But it
right.
was like $10,000 to $15,000. It was a lot of
Oh,
money.
okay. Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't
it
it
was
wasn't
online.
that much from to be shipped here. It's not that much. So,
Yeah, see,
like
they
she
coming
said, it
from
was
Canada.
5,000. Yeah, she said 5,000 by sea, and they did door to door.
Yeah, so check out mailbox, etc. I'm gonna put it in
Mhm.
the chat. I did it wrong, but I'm gonna do it right.
Yeah.
And see if they can help with the cargo shipping. They didn't use that. They used another probably private company. That's why they had to pay so much.
Hmm.
So do price comparison and see, because it may work for you. It may work for you. All right. I think we got all the questions. We good to go, everybody? All right. It's 7:06. With that being said, we're gonna let Kate get some rest so she can come up with her topics for the next call we're gonna have with her because she's not getting away. And this will be ready. The transcript and the recording of this takes a few hours to upload to the cloud. So it should be available tomorrow morning. I'm gonna let it run all night. And I will send everybody a copy, the link to look at it again or look at parts you missed or go back at the end and get all the information to the questions. I like this hyperbaric. I like this ozone blood treatment. I want to look into all of that.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that they took your blood out and then treated it and put it back in you is just amazing to me. So I want to look at that process. They probably have it on YouTube and see more about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. We got layered information, y'all. So I thank everybody for being here again, Kate. Thank you so much for sharing your
Mhm.
stories and deeper. You went deeper into the stories. We learned a lot about health, money, finances, having your money right no matter where you move. It's a money mentality. If you broke in a
Yeah.
state, you may be broke everywhere. You may need to learn
Yes.
take a budgeting class. I
Yeah.
did. I took a
Yeah.
budgeting class. I take finance classes because I'm okay, but I could be better, right? Learn
Yeah.
how to repair my credit, all of that stuff. So do what's best for you to make your move successful no matter where you go. Coming to
Yeah.
Merida, you know I got you. She right, it's hot. Y'all see me wiping with the towel because I don't have on the fan or the AC. So yeah, it's a little warm, but I'm not melting. I'm all right. And when I get off, I'm gonna turn on the air. I'll be okay. So it's those type of adjustments. And then she ended up finding a place for her. And that's the point, finding a place for you. So if nobody has anything else, we will conclude tonight. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you again, Kay, for being here. And I'll see y'all on the next episode. Kay gives us the information, the lowdown on where to move, how to move, what to do, and not to do.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Kay. And I will see you next time. I'm gonna send you a message too when we get off.
Okay.
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 All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good
Que tenga
night.
una buena
Good night.
noche.
I'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you
Buenas
Okay.
soon,
tardes.
dear. All right. See you, Chandra.
Bye.
Bye.